Now let's get into the second part of how to synergize. First of all, let's make the difference between synergy and compromising. And sometimes, and I have to speak for myself, very often I confused those two. Because I used to think that, having what is the win for one person and the win for the other person, and just coming up with an answer from those two, that was synergizing. However, I realized from our last training that synergizing is much more than that. It's having the ability to have, here's the process that I'm going to share with you. Number one is to begin with the end in mind. What is the purpose of our conversation? What is the purpose of our dialogue, if it is with two people or with 3 or 4 or 5? What is the goal? And when we come up with the goal, with the end in mind, we actually remove our personal agendas. So that's step number one. What's the end in mind? Number two is having what is called a win-win for each person. What is the win for this person? What will be a win for this other person and for this other person? And having that clear. Let's talk about two people. So having both wins. What makes you feel? What gets your needs fulfilled and what gets my needs fulfilled? Let's write them down. Let's look at them. But we don't have to stop right here. We then go into a brainstorming session on how to create a third alternative. And a third alternative is something that is even beyond the 2 wins for each person. And so let me give you an example. Let's say let's talk about a family. A family has a wife and a husband and children. And the husband has lost his job and he wants to move to another city. And so they get together and they want to find out what will be the end in mind of this dialogue or this process of synergizing that we're going to have. In one of the courses, someone said, the end in mind is that the husband finds a job. However, someone came up with even a higher objective, and it is that the family will be happy. So let's begin with that. End in mind to have a joyful family or to have a happy family. Then what it needs to happen now is that the wife and the husband both write down on a list what is a win for them, what would represent that they get their needs met. And each do that exercise. And then they'll have a brainstorming session where many ideas come up. No idea is wrong. All of us probably know what a brainstorming session is. In this process, we don't cancel any ideas, even if it's what we call a wild idea. We will write it down. And then from that process, from that exercise of brainstorming, then we create what is called the third alternative. And one of the things that Stevie Covey, for example, recommends is that we use imagination, that we get out of our comfort zone, that we get out of the box. And with using imagination, which is one of our, is one of the abilities that we human beings have to create something bigger than what each of the participants came up with. And that means synergizing. Now, synergizing is what is needed for innovation. If we want to innovate, if we have to innovate, if we desire to innovate, this process is very, very powerful. It includes everyone, it respects everyone's ideas, and it creates a larger and bigger idea. This process removes the fear of perhaps my idea not being heard, or someone is going to convince me with their point of view or their perspective. The fear is removed, because what is happening is that the new idea is a product of everyone's perspective and beyond. I invite you to follow us in our YouTube channel for more seminars, for more presentations. And remember, the only limits that we have are the limits that we put on ourselves.